Samuel Cooke was born on the 22nd of January 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, the fifth of 8 children to Reverend Charles Cooke and Annie Mae Cooke. The family later moved to Chicago's South Side, where young Sam grew up surrounded by the sound of gospel music echoing through the halls of his father's church. Music wasn't just entertainment in the Cooke household. It was worship. It was identity. It was life itself. By age 9, Sam was already performing with his siblings in a gospel group called the Singing Children. His voice possessed an otherworldly quality, smooth as silk, yet powerful enough to shake the rafters of any church. As he entered his teenage years, that voice matured into something remarkable, an instrument of such purity and emotional depth that it could move congregations to tears. At 14, Sam joined the Highway QCs, a teenage gospel group that performed throughout Chicago. But destiny was preparing something greater. In 1950, at just 19 years old, Sam received an invitation that would change his life. The legendary Soul Stirrers, one of gospel music's most prestigious groups, needed a new lead singer to replace the departed R.H. Harris. The pressure was immense. Harris had been a gospel giant, and the Soul Stirrers' devoted fans were skeptical that this young upstart could fill his shoes. But when Sam stepped to the microphone and let his voice soar, doubts evaporated. He didn't just replace Harris, he revolutionized gospel music. Sam brought a romantic, almost sensual quality to sacred songs, his melismatic runs and smooth phrasing creating a new sound that made young women swoon even as they shouted, Amen. For 6 years, Sam traveled the gospel circuit, his fame growing with each performance. Women threw themselves at him, fainting in the aisles, screaming his name. It was unprecedented in the conservative world of gospel music, and it made church elders nervous. But it also gave Sam a glimpse of something he couldn't ignore, crossover appeal. The secular world was calling, and Sam could hear its siren song louder than any hymn. Act 2. Crossing over to controversy. 1957 to 1963. The decision to leave gospel for pop music in 1957 was scandalous, almost blasphemous. Gospel artists didn't abandon God's music for the devil's music. But Sam Cooke, he dropped the E from his last name for his secular career, saw no contradiction. Music was music, and his gift was too expensive to be confined to one genre. To protect his gospel reputation initially, Sam released his first pop single, Lovable, under the pseudonym Dale Cooke. But when You Send Me was released under his real name later that year, there was no hiding anymore. The song exploded, reaching number 1 on both the Billboard Pop and R&B charts. It sold over 1.7 million copies and announced to the world that a new star had arrived. But success came with a price. The gospel community felt betrayed. Churches that once celebrated him now condemned him. His former fans wept, not with joy, but with disappointment. Gospel legend Mahalia Jackson publicly criticized his decision, and the Soul Stirrers struggled to find a replacement who could match his impact. Sam's own family was divided. His father, the Reverend, barely spoke to him for months. Yet Sam pressed forward, driven by ambition that matched his talent. Throughout the late 1950 seconds and early 1960 seconds, he delivered hit after hit. Wonderful World, Cupid, Chain Gang, Twistin' the Night Away, Another Saturday Night, Bring It On Home to Me. Each song showcased his unique ability to blend gospel fervor with pop sensibility, creating what would come to be known as soul music. But Sam Cooke was more than just a performer. He was a visionary businessman who understood that black artists were being exploited by the white-dominated music industry. In 1961, he founded SAR Records, standing for Sam, Alex, and Roy, and later, Cags Music, his own publishing company. He was SAR Records sacker, determined to own his masters, control his music, and create opportunities for other black artists. This business acumen made him wealthy, but also earned him enemies. Record executives who were used to controlling black artists resented his independence. Sam negotiated deals that were unprecedented for African American performers, including owning his own publishing rights and receiving higher royalties. He was breaking the chains that had bound black entertainers for generations, and the established power structure took notice. Sam also became increasingly involved in the civil rights movement. While he was more reserved than artists like Harry Belafonte or Nina Simone, he supported the movement financially and used his platform to advocate for change. He performed at benefits, supported voter registration drives, and even arrested in Louisiana after he and his band refused to perform for a segregated audience. That arrest resulted in him being beaten by police, an experience that deepened his commitment to civil rights. In 1964, he released what would become his masterpiece and an anthem for the movement. A Change Is Gonna Come. Inspired by Bob Dylan's Blowin' in the Wind and Sam's own experiences with racism, the song was a profound statement of hope and determination. Its orchestral grandeur and deeply personal lyrics marked a new maturity in Sam's artistry. At 33, he seemed poised to enter yet another phase of creative evolution. But Sam Cooke would never see that change come. Act 3. The Hacienda Motel. The 11th of December 1964. The 11th of December 1964 started like many nights for Sam Cooke. He was in Los Angeles at the top of his game, having just recorded A Change Is Gonna Come for his next album. That evening, he was out on the town, enjoying his success, his freedom, his life. At a party in the Hollywood Hills, Sam met a 22-year-old woman named Eliza Boyer. The details of how they met and what transpired between them remain disputed, to this day clouded by contradictions and convenient amnesias. What is known is that sometime after midnight, Sam and Boyer left together in his red Ferrari. Instead of going to Sam's own home or a respectable hotel, they ended up at the Hacienda Motel, a seedy establishment on South Figueroa Street in South Central Los Angeles. It was the kind of place where rooms were rented by the hour, where secrets were kept and questions weren't asked. Why would one of America's most famous entertainers, a man who stayed in the finest hotels on tour, choose such a location? According to Boyer's testimony, the account that would become the official narrative, Sam registered them both at the motel under the name Mr. and Mrs. Cooke. They went to room 3. Once inside, Boyer claimed that Sam attacked her, tearing off her clothes. Terrified, she said she escaped when he went into the bathroom, grabbing her clothes and accidentally taking Sam's clothes as well and fleeing the motel.
What happened next created one of music history's most controversial tragedies. Realizing Boyer had fled with his clothes, Sam allegedly clothed himself only in a sports jacket and shoes, then went looking for her.
Unable to find Boyer, and believing she might have checked into the motel's office, Sam banged on the door of the motel's manager, Berta Franklin, a 55-year-old woman who lived in an apartment adjacent to the office. Franklin's account claimed that Sam broke down her door, demanded to know where the girl was, and attacked her. In self-defense, she said. She grabbed a .22 caliber pistol and fired 3 times. One shot missed, one hit Sam in the torso, and one struck his shoulder. But Sam, wounded, kept coming. So Franklin grabbed a broomstick and beat him with it until he collapsed. When police arrived, they found Sam Cooke's nearly naked body on the floor of the manager's office. His last words, according to the coroner's report, were, "Lady, you shot me." Coroner's inquest ruled the killing justifiable homicide. Case closed. Sam Cooke, one of the greatest voices in American music, was dead at 33, killed by a motel manager in what was officially deemed self-defense. But the case was anything but closed for those who knew Sam and even for those who didn't. Act Core, the cover-up questions that won't die. From the moment the official story was released, people began poking holes in it. The narrative had more gaps than a worn-out record. First, there was Eliza Boyer herself. Her testimony was the cornerstone of the case. Yet, her credibility was questionable at best. Boya had a criminal record. She'd been arrested multiple times for prostitution. In the years following Sam's death, she would be convicted of prostitution again and later imprisoned for second-degree murder in an unrelated case. Why would a successful, sophisticated man like Sam Cooke pick up a prostitute and take her to a dive motel? Many, close to Sam, insisted it wasn't his style. He had relationships with beautiful women, yes, but he was discreet and cautious. Taking a stranger to a seedy motel seemed completely out of character. Some theorized that Boya was a setup, a woman specifically chosen to lure Sam into a trap. Then there were the physical inconsistencies. The coroner's report showed that Sam had been shot 3 times and beaten with a broomstick, but some who saw his body claimed the damage was far more extensive. His skull was reportedly fractured, his hands broken as if crushed, his body bearing injuries inconsistent with the official story. A photograph that surfaced years later appeared to show significantly more trauma than could be explained by 3 gunshots and a broomstick beating. The crime scene raised red flags too. Boya claimed she ran out with her clothes and accidentally grabbed Sam's pants. But investigators found Sam's clothes neatly piled in the motel room, not scattered as they would be if grabbed. In panic, his wallet was missing, containing over $5,000 in cash. Yet, this was ruled incidental to the killing. Bertha Franklin's story also had problems. She claimed a nearly naked man in a sports jacket broke down her door and attacked her. But Franklin was a large woman who outweighed Sam, and he was shot 3 times at close range. How did he keep advancing? Why would he attack her with such fury over a woman he'd just met? The self-defense narrative required believing that Sam transformed into an irrational, violent maniac, a description that fit no one's understanding of him. Most suspicious was the speed of the investigation. Within days, the case was declared justified homicide. No serious investigation into alternative scenarios was conducted. No deep dive into Boyer's background or potential conspiracies. The Los Angeles Police Department seemed eager to close the book on Sam Cooke. Rumors immediately began circulating. Some believed it was a robbery gone wrong, that Boyer was part of a team that lured wealthy men to the hacienda where they'd be robbed, and that Sam's murder happened when he fought back. Others suspected something darker, a professional hit disguised as a tawdry scandal to destroy Sam's reputation even in death. The hit theory had its logic. Sam was a powerful black man who owned his music and challenged industry norms. He'd made enemies among white power brokers in the music industry who resented his independence.
He'd angered organized crime figures who had interests in entertainment. He'd drawn attention from FBI Director J.
Edgar Hoover, who was obsessed with monitoring and undermining successful black leaders and entertainers, especially those involved in civil rights. Sam's own family never accepted the official story. His brother, L.C. Cooke, spent years investigating, convinced that Sam was murdered and that the truth was being covered up. Sam's friends and fellow musicians expressed similar doubts. Even decades later, those close to him would shake their heads and say, "That's not what happened." Perhaps most heartbreaking was the impact on Sam's legacy and family. His wife, Barbara, was devastated not just by his death, but by the circumstances. The official narrative painted Sam as a would-be rapist who died while committing a violent crime. It transformed a talented, dignified man into a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame and moral corruption. The funeral at A.R. Leake Funeral Home in Chicago drew over 200,000 mourners. Ray Charles sung at the service, barely able to get through his tribute. But even in death, controversy followed. Some gospel figures refused to attend, still bitter about Sam's crossover. Others came to pay respects but whispered about the scandal. Bertha Franklin never faced charges. She reportedly received death threats and eventually left Los Angeles. Elisa Boyer disappeared from public view for years, resurfacing only when arrested for other crimes. Neither woman ever significantly changed her story, though Boyer's accounts over the years contained small inconsistencies that fueled suspicions. The Change That Came, A Change Is Gonna Come, was released as a single shortly after Sam's death. It became his epitaph, a haunting reminder of the promise cut short. The song reached number 31 on the pop charts and became an anthem of the civil rights movement, played at marches and memorials, including Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral in 1968. Sam Cooke's influence on music is immeasurable. He pioneered soul music, bridging gospel and pop in ways that opened doors for everyone from Aretha Franklin to Marvin Gaye to Otis Redding. His business model, owning his masters, controlling his publishing, demanding fair compensation, became a blueprint for artists seeking independence. His smooth vocal style influenced generations, from Al Green to Usher, but the circumstances of his death remain unresolved, a mystery wrapped in scandal and speculation. Was it truly a bizarre series of bad decisions by a man acting out of character? Was it a robbery that went tragically wrong? Or was it something more sinister, a calculated murder of a black man who'd become too powerful, too independent, too successful? The official record says justifiable homicide, but history whispers murder. In the end, perhaps the greatest tragedy isn't just that Sam Cooke died at 33 in his prime, with so much music still unmade. The tragedy is that he died in a way that allowed his detractors to diminish him, that gave ammunition to those who wanted to paint him as just another fallen star who couldn't handle fame. Sam Cooke deserved better, better than the Hacienda Motel, better than a suspicious investigation, better than a story that doesn't add up. He deserved to live long enough to see the change that was gonna come, the change he sang about with such hope and conviction. The truth about the 11th of December 1964 may never fully emerge. Too many witnesses are dead. Too much evidence was never properly gathered. Too many people had reasons to lie. But one truth remains indisputable. American music lost one of its greatest voices that night, and the silence left behind still echoes with unanswered questions. Sam Cooke's life was a bridge between the sacred and secular, between gospel purity and pop success, between the old ways of the music business and a new model of artist empowerment. His death remains a bridge, too, between what we're told happened and what might have really occurred, between official narrative and stubborn doubt. It's been a long time coming. He sang, but I know a change is gonna come. For Sam Cooke, that change came too late. But his voice, that magnificent, transformative voice, still calls out across the decades, asking us not to forget, not to accept easy answers, not to let injustice go unchallenged. His murder remains unsolved in the court of public opinion. And perhaps that's fitting, because Sam Cooke's story, like his music, refuses to be silenced.